Chicago is the most populous city in the US, state of Illinois, and the third most populous in the United States after New York City and Los Angeles. With a population of 2,746,388 in the 2020 census, it's also the most populous city in the Midwest. As the seat of Cook County, the second most populous county in the US, Chicago is the center of the Chicago metropolitan area. In this video, we are going on a Chicago River Architecture boat tour.
Hotel and tower. Now, just by looking at this building, you can tell each of those patios at the heights of some of the other buildings around it. This including the clock tower. That second one is the same height as the tower across the way. That's not by accident, that's by design. The architect here trying to make the building look good in context with the other buildings around it. So we call that contextualism, and we'll see a lot of examples of that as we continue on our tour. The tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa in Dubai. You want to get a sense of how tall the Burj Khalifa is? You can take two Trump towers, stack them on top of each other, and that's about the height of the Burj Khalifa. So we don't have the tallest building in the world anymore, but we did raise the architect who went off and designed it. Now, I can see we're getting a little bit of sun here, a little pro tip about the
On the shore of Lake Michigan, Chicago was incorporated as a city in 1837 near a portage between the Great Lakes and the Mississippi River watershed. It grew rapidly in the mid-19th century. The Great Chicago Fire in 1871 destroyed several square miles and left more than 100,000 homeless, but Chicago's population continued to grow. Chicago made noted contributions to urban planning and architecture, such as the Chicago School, the development of the City Beautiful movement, and the steel-framed skyscraper. Chicago is an international hub for finance, culture, commerce, industry, education, technology, telecommunications, and transportation. It has the largest and most diverse derivatives market in the world, generating 20% of all volume in commodities and financial futures alone.
with busts of some famous American merchants. Names you might be familiar with: Montgomery Ward, Marshall Field, Woolworth, Filene, just to name a few. And if you're able to climb up one of those pillars and you push back real hard on one of those heads, a big hunk of candy comes out of the necks. And that's a Pez joke. Thank you to the one lady that laughed. Let's see if everybody else finds the jokes later. So this enormous building, 2 full city blocks of building. If you took all the office space inside of it and spread it out, it'd be over 14 foot, taking parts of our river. Welcome everyone to Wolf Point, a 360-degree view of architecture. Most of the buildings you see here built in just the last few years. Wolf Point's the name of the part of the river where the main branch, which is what we're on, meets up with the south and north branch. We're going to be going on all 3 branches of the river here today, and the river is why Chicago is here. You can get out through that south branch out to the Mississippi because of the parabolic arches on the top and bottom of the building. Some folks say it looks like the box you microwave Hot Pockets in. They call it the Hot Pocket building. That arch on the bottom is to make way for a train line that runs underneath it. Those circular holes you see are exhaust fans for that train. Now, like I said, most of these buildings going up in just the last few years. The building I have to show you on the river here today. Straight in front of us, this sort of peachy pink looking building is from the 1890s. This is Fulton House, which was originally a cold storage warehouse back when Chicago had the nickname of Hog Butcher to the world. Down on the south side of the city, we had the Union Stockyards, literally millions of heads of livestock passing to refrigerated train cars, taken around the United States, even around with old buildings like Fulton House. They cut through 3-foot thick walls to put in those windows and patios, and when they did, they found the 1890s equivalent of insulation: matted horsehair and cork. That project was finished in the 1980s, led by an architect named Harry Weiss, who also designed the quirky little river cottages right next door. Harry was a bit of a sailor, so you can see the nautical themes here. Triangular shapes evocative of sails, circular windows that look like portholes. But people thought Harry was nuts for building on this polluted river back in the 1980s. But architects are forward thinking. Harry knew he would get around to cleaning the club, a high-end fitness center from the 1980s. A lot of famous Chicagoans worked out here. Oprah Winfrey, Barack Obama, Michael Jordan, to name a few. But built in the
Chicago is a major tourist destination. Chicago's culture has contributed much to the visual arts, film, theater, comedy, food, and music. Chicago is home to the Chicago Symphony Orchestra and the Lyric Opera of Chicago. The Chicago area also hosts the University of Chicago, Northwestern University, and the University of Illinois Chicago, among other institutions of learning. Chicago has professional sports teams in each of the major professional leagues, including 2 Major League Baseball teams.
living in the Chicagoland area today. Now, we hear those trains out there. Those train lines run underneath these buildings.
The destruction caused by the Great Chicago Fire led to the largest building boom in the history of the nation. In 1885, the first steel-framed high-rise building, the Home Insurance Building, rose in the city as Chicago ushered in the skyscraper era, which would then be followed by many other cities around the world. Today, Chicago's skyline is among the world's tallest and densest. Look at this, these balconies, interesting balconies.
Like domino.
So many balconies.
Every size is different, huh? Some small, some bigger.
Balconies all over. Sears Tower, where is it? Oh, that's a Sears Tower here. I've been on it last time.
Look like San Francisco one.
It used to be the tallest building, not anymore. Burj Khalifa took over. This is Sears Tower. Some of the United States' tallest towers are located in Chicago. Willis Tower, formerly Sears Tower, is the second tallest building in the Western Hemisphere after One World Trade Center, and Trump International Hotel and Tower is the third tallest in the country. The buildings and architecture of Chicago reflect the city's history and multicultural heritage, featuring prominent buildings in a variety of styles. Most structures downtown were destroyed by the Great Chicago Fire in 1871. Chicago's architectural styles include Chicago bungalows, 2 flats, and greystones along Logan Boulevard and Lawndale Avenue. The Loop is home to skyscrapers as well as sacred architecture including Polish cathedrals. Chicago is home to one of the largest and most diverse collections of skyscrapers in the world. Here we go. Here's jamming. Welcome to Chicago. Numerous architects have constructed landmark buildings of varying styles in Chicago. Among them are the so-called Chicago Seven, James Ingo Fried, Tom Beebe, Larry Booth, Stuart Cohen, James Nagel, Stanley Tigerman, and Ben Weiss. Daniel Burnham led the design of the White City of 1893 World's Columbian Exposition, which some historians claim led to a revival of neoclassical architecture throughout Chicago and the entire United States. Trump Tower. The Trump International Hotel and Tower is a skyscraper condo hotel in downtown Chicago. The building, named for ex-President Donald Trump, was designed by architect Adrian Smith of Skidmore, Owings and Merrill. The Sandwiches Chicago, formerly Wanda Vista Tower, is a 101-story, 1,198 feet, super tall skyscraper in Chicago. Construction started in August 2016 and was completed in 2020. Upon completion, it became the city's third tallest building at 1,198 feet, surpassing the Aeon Center. It is the tallest structure in the world, designed by the architect Jeanne Gang and her architectural firm Studio Gang Architects. It forms a part of the Lakeshore East development and overlooks the Chicago River near Lake Michigan. Chicago's skyline is one of the world's tallest and easily ranks among its most magnificent. It boasts four of America's 8 tallest buildings, and if you include its antenna, the massive Sears Willis Tower remains the 5th tallest skyscraper in the world. Thanks in part to its location on the western shores of Lake Michigan, Chicago grew from a small trading outpost to America's third largest city. Nearly all major rail transportation networks in the United States converge in Chicago, making the city arguably the nation's industrial crossroads. When Chicago rapidly expanded during World War I and in the decades that followed, the amazing skyline we know today began to take shape. Here are the 9 iconic buildings that contribute to making Chicago such a great place for urban architecture. Number 1. Willis Tower. Constructed in 1974, it was the world's tallest building until 1998. Today, it remains the 3rd tallest in the Western Hemisphere. Number 2. The St. Regis Chicago. The building hosts a range of luxury properties including nearly 400 condominiums and 200 hotel rooms. The uppermost section of the structure contains unoccupied and open floors which allow winds to blow through and prevent the rest of the tower from swaying. Number 3. Nema Chicago is another new addition to the Chicago skyline, but it's not on the Chicago River. Number 4. 875 North Michigan Avenue, located along Chicago's famed Magnificent Mile. Prior to February 2018, it was called the John Hancock Center. Number 5. Tribune Tower is a famed neo-Gothic skyscraper located on the Michigan Avenue near the Chicago River. Number 6. The Wrigley Building, located just across Michigan Avenue from the Tribune Tower. Number 7, Aeon Center, is an iconic Chicago landmark that stands just north the Millennium Park. Number 8, James Thompson Center, and in number 9, Marina City, is a prize-winning mixed-use residential commercial complex built alongside the Chicago River. The iconic shell-shaped design gives the appearance of something like two corn cobs stood on end. Hi from Chicago.